So I want to share with you guys a conversation, I guess an email conversation I just had. Someone reached out and said, hey, I haven't been able to make it to any of the webinars. Do you have a recording of this one? Yeah, I have a couple of recordings and stuff, but and I answered this way. These are primarily for clients. I don't have a lot of stuff recorded. That's what we're hoping to get you to the webinar for. And also, any calls and other stuff. But anyway, I've got training materials and that kind of stuff for clients. We want to keep that for clients. I hope that makes sense and sounds reasonable. But in any event, they were saying they had having a hard time getting, scheduled to attend or make time for it or what have you. And in this particular case, I went and looked at their website, and they've got 13 clinical staff on staff. I'm guessing they're not all full-time when you get to that point, but let's say they even had 10 full-time staff members, clinical staff. In a physical therapist practice, you should be realizing somewhere in the neighborhood of $2.5 million a year in gross annual revenue with about 10 FTEs. So you can check that out and see if those numbers match your practice, but ultimately that's kind of the starting point, right? The webinar they were referencing was a Plan of Care webinar. And we know from the WebPT surveys as well as a number of other studies that the majority of people are not finishing their plans of care, okay? The majority of patients are not achieving and finishing their plans of care. Thus, I think they're not finishing and achieving their goals, their treatment goals. And WebPT had that across the board, across the industry, as high as 90%. 90% of people were not finishing their plans of care. Among other things, let's put the whole business issue aside for a minute. That offends me as a physical therapist. If that's how good a job we're doing, that floors me. No wonder we're not making better inroads and a bigger impact on society and all this if 9 out of 10 of our patients are not finishing and achieving their goals. So it really brings up questions around process, and are we having the conversations with the patient? Are we listening to them? Are we making sure that we get buy-in, that they actually see what we're doing to help them achieve their goals? So I'm talking about them a lot. Those are critical things in my thought process of, wow, we must not be either providing the value or laying out how or what the value is, or relating it back, or there's a breakdown there somewhere. So anyway, this is where the Plan of Care webinar comes in. The idea is that if you're writing plans of care for a certain number of visits and people are not attending for all of those visits, and there's a gap, so there's an opportunity for improvement, efficiency, that type of thing. So if that's the case, let's say this practice that's at the $2.5 million mark, we are able to move that needle even by 3%. So that's a tiny change, right? But a 3% change in attendance and compliance and buy-in from the patients for the plan of care, them actually showing up and seeing the value and doing the work, and maybe more of them hopefully achieving their goals and being happy with us, both as a business and individual practitioner and the industry in general, right? That's good for everybody. Everybody wins. From the business standpoint, a 3% gain on $2.5 million is $75,000. Okay? If you can attend a 1-hour webinar and potentially, it's not a guarantee, but potentially move the needle on your business by $75,000 a year, would you do it? Would you make that a priority? Okay. The other cool thing about the webinars I've been doing, at least for the people attending, and for me too actually, is generally get about 20 to 30 of them registering, 20, 30 people register for the webinar, right? Only somewhere around 3 to 5 show up. Okay, so 20 or 30 of them said, hey, I need this, but didn't make the time to do it. 90% of them didn't make the time to do it. And then the cool thing about that, though, is for the ones who do attend, these aren't big webinars. This isn't just me talking at you like in this recording. This isn't just me pitching stuff. This is a real interactive opportunity and almost turns into a coaching session or a group coach session where we're learning and hearing about their individual challenges and their business issues and problems, and coming up with some solutions for them specifically, right? So this, I mean, there's more value there too. So again, if you say this is important, maybe just like your patients or just like your clients or customers, but you can't figure out how to make it work with your schedule, you're prioritizing other things over this learning intervention, that type of thing. So are you learning? Are you making the changes in your business that you need to, that you want to, that not only will help you make more money, but that will ultimately serve your customers and your patients better, get them better results, and make them happier with you and what you do? Okay, hope to see you at one of the upcoming webinars. I'll put the events link down below.